All right, thanks, Heather. Hi, everyone. My name is Chester Ritchie. I'm with a company by the name of Worldpay. And Worldpay is one of the largest processors internationally. But rather than talk to you guys about Worldpay today, what I wanted to do is share a story about one of our partners with you, because they created an app that I literally use each and every day. I'm sorry.
You got the clicker.
Yeah, so anyways, they created this app that I use every single day, and what it allows you to do is it allows you to walk into any restaurant and basically self-checkout. So if you think about it, you no longer have to wait for your bill to be delivered to you, and then once you give them the credit card for your payment to go and be processed and bring it all the way back to you. So it's an awesome app. Its name is Split. And this is what Split looks like. When you're at a restaurant, you start it up, you select your restaurant, choose the items that you ate off of the tab in case you're sharing the meal with someone else, leave a social ranking, go ahead and make the payment. It'll process it at this point, and you simply split. So what this does is this literally takes about 20 to 25 minutes out of your day each and every day if you eat a lot at restaurants like I do. So it's great. I wish every restaurant used this. Yesterday I was having lunch down by the water. We sat on the outside. After about 10 minutes, we realized that wasn't such a good idea because we were freezing our butts off. We had to wait for 20 minutes for the waiter to finally come back outside to give us our check so we can leave. And the whole time I was just sitting there thinking, gosh, you should be using Split. What's cool about Split is they were able to use our payments technology, and it's integrated into any restaurant's point-of-sale system as well. So any restaurant can literally use this. The reason Split chose Worldpay to integrate payment processing is really for three distinct reasons. The first is we make it super, super easy for you to integrate payments into your application. We have a RESTful API that sits up in the cloud, so you can literally do it almost overnight. The second reason is that Worldpay processes transactions internationally. So we have 11 offices around the world. So when you have your application and you're ready to grow outside of the US, we're there to help support you. And the third reason, and to me one of the most important, especially if you plan on growing outside of the US, is Worldpay supports alternative payment types. So there's over 326 of those now, and we're helping to accelerate the growth of Split because we have support for those payment types built in. Now, if your plans are to grow outside of the US, it's very, very important that you support alternative payments. The reason for that is literally within about a year, 59% of all electronic payments will be of an alternative payment type. To give you an example of that, this is a smattering of some of the customers that we have out there today. And as you'll notice, anyone who's anyone on the internet uses Worldpay to switch their transactions internationally. Apple Computer, for their rollout in China, we were able to work with them with their one-click ordering system to support things like CUP, China UnionPay cards, because there's not a lot of Visa and MasterCard in China. We are also able to help Airbnb extend their reach into Brazil by supporting a payment type down there called the Bolado. You know, stuff that we don't run into here in the States, but you will run into when you expand outside of the United States. Now, what I want to do at this point is turn it over to our team. This is Abe and Jessica, and they're going to show you how easy it is to use that single API to integrate these types of payments into your application as well. So, Jessica?
Hello, thank you. Okay, so hi guys, my name is Jessica, and I work with the certifications department over here at Worldpay. What we do is we try to make sure that you have an easy integration experience. So the key to any integration is really making sure you have the right information. And so what we've done at Worldpay is we've made a place where it's easy to get this so that you're a successful partner. So I'm going to show you a couple things here just to show you what I mean. It all starts with our landing page here for developers on our SecureNet website. Once you get on this website, you're going to see very first thing here on the right is a Get a Sandbox account. So this is really key to any integration. You can't just read through the documentation and start writing your code. You need a way to actively test it. And we don't want to hold you up for that. So immediately when you fill out these simple 6 fields, you're going to receive your sample account and your login credentials right from there. So even if you're coding your project in the midnight hours, if this is a developer that's in a different country, they easily can get the resources that they need to start beginning to test their code and get you to market faster. From here, we need to make sure that we actually give you the documentation. So we have a link right here that says View Docs. You'll also get sent straight to this page as soon as you fill out your sandbox request form. So the key here that we wanted to focus on was easy to navigate, because it's one thing for us to put the information out there for you, but if you can't pull out the information you need, there's really no point in us putting it there. So the way that you're going to get through is the navigation bar on the left-hand side there. That's going to stay present with you as you navigate through all of the information. You can easily click on whichever fields that you need that apply to your integration. So if you're doing card present, focus on that tab. If you are in the card not present world, you're going to go ahead and click on that tab there. And then you'll notice once you click on that tab, we've included some extra information to make it easier for you to consume it. So that starts with our code snippets there. And you'll notice that in the black screen. By default, these are all going to show up in JSON. Most of our developers like to see that. Most of our developers are going to submit their requests in JSON. But if you'd like to see an example in a coding language of your choice, we've given you that option using this menu up at the top right-hand side. So say if I'm a PHP developer, I go ahead and I click on that link. You do it once, the code snippet now changes to a PHP format, and this happens for every single sample throughout all of our documentation. So right now we're looking at an authorization request. If I switch down to something for, let's say, verify, if you want to go click on that one, you'll see that this code snippet now also is in that same language. And you can go through each one of the languages and that always will change for you. So after you've looked through the code snippets, you're going to see the references section down below that easily displays the definition of each of the objects that you need. One way that we made this easy to navigate is that as you click on each one of these references for a deeper definition, it actually opens in a side tab called Reference. That way you're not actually being thrown around the documentation. Some websites will pull you all the way down to the bottom to a different section, and then it gets hard to navigate back to where you started. We wanted to make sure you stayed right in that location that you came from so that you can go back to doing your code. So that reference tab there on the right-hand side, you can expand it yourself at any time, or you can click on any of these links within the definition to make sure that you see the additional details that you need. Basically, after that, we want to make sure that there is one last step that we take to ensure that you've consumed all this information correctly. We do have a support team at Worldpay. It's the API team and the certification team. And if you go right back to our developers landing site, you're going to see a Get Certified link, and that contacts those teams there. And what we're going to do is as you've finished up your integration, we're going to give you a set of test scripts. We're also going to make sure that we work with you to make sure you've adhered to best recommended practices. We don't expect everybody coming in to know how our payment system works. So if you tell us you're in a card not present environment, we're going to make sure you have the necessary fields to not only protect yourself from fraud, but to try and get those best rates possible for your merchants so that we have a mutually beneficial relationship. So this are just a couple of the things that we're trying to do to make sure that everybody succeeds here in these integration projects. We have a lot more things that we can do from a partner implementation standpoint, but this is just to get you started from the very beginning, get us off to the right foot. So what I will do now is I will actually turn it right back over to Chester to make sure he can go over all those other partner details.
Definitely. Thanks, Jessica. Okay, so there's a few things that are available to you from Worldpay that are pretty exciting. The first one is obviously we have some pretty awesome APIs and SDKs you can get a hold of just by coming up and talking to these guys right here. But then the other thing that Worldpay does for the development community is we literally fund incubators for companies that generate, or incubators that generate companies like Split. So right now we're doing that with the ATDC out of Georgia Tech in Georgia, which is pretty exciting. The other thing we do is we sponsor hackathons all over the world. And I wanted to make sure those of you that are in the room that are actually developers know that one of the biggest hackathons in the country is happening in 2 weeks. The prize money and prizes themselves is up to $120,000. So if you're not part of it yet, you definitely want to become part of it. So come up to our booth. We'll tell you a little bit more how to get involved in that. Super exciting. We do it over a weekend, and you'll meet some of the best minds in fintech there as well. So with that said, I'd like to thank you guys for having Worldpay today. And do we have any questions, Heather? Okay. We're going to answer a couple questions that came in.
Okay, so the first one is, since there are other companies in this space, could you tell us a little bit more about what sets you apart?
Yes. So those three distinct key differentiators we were talking about that split shows Worldpay for. So the first one is there are a lot of companies out there today that have payment APIs. So that's true. But usually you don't want to just do business in the US, especially if you have an internet application or pretty much anything nowadays. Everybody wants to be international. Once you become international, it's not as easy as it is in the US because every country has different regs from the bankers out there. And because Worldpay is able to process transactions in over 120 different countries, makes us very, very unique. So that's one. The second one is, again, those alternative payment types. So today we support 326 of those, and as far as I know, we're the only company that does that. And that's the reason why when you go back to our list of customers out there, you'll see the big guys from the internet. So if you look under the internet section there where Google's listed, you'll see names like Google and Apple and Microsoft and Netflix, Adobe, Uber, all these kind of guys.
Okay, this one also may be backtracking a bit, but for people who came in late, how does your API handle integrations for merchants across multiple channels or industries?
Oh, awesome question for these guys.
Okay. So basically, you can have one merchant account to actually address each one of those channels, but we handle it through our API through a series of fields that you pass these indicators. So instead of changing MIDs for each integration or having a different account for each integration, you simply are going to use that same account but pass the correct indicators. And that's something that we go through with you during that certification process that I touched on. We'll make sure that if you are doing a retail card present transaction, you've assigned the correct indicators to get you the best rates possible for that. And then also if you switch over to a card not present, the same thing goes. Did you pass the correct indicators to make sure that we've told the card networks this is now how you're processing? But again, always over the same MID right now.
Okay, and last one, how does your API support mobile POS and online payments?
Okay, so again, it goes back to these indicators. So we have a field for device code, and if you're using a mobile device, we have you tell us during that field, and that way we can assign that to your, and sorry, I said MID, it's for merchant account, sorry, I just get caught up in it too much every day. But same thing for online accounts. We just have specified fields so that you can designate this is the industry I'm processing for this particular transaction with this card. That same integration can turn around, do one mobile transaction, and then if they have like a point of sale device that's using the same integration, the same code, they just now assign the correct field that says this is a card present, I'm expecting swiped data, versus now I'm on a mobile that's having a key entered data. Using the correct indicators and then identifying that through our certification process to make sure you coded it correctly, we make sure that these can transition to production sending the correct information.